Hi everyone, this is Brian with BS and Tech Networks. This is the last video I am bringing to you in this video series. I have created two other videos prior to this one. The first one was just navigation and how to use the Gutenberg page editor, as it's called. The one I made prior to this one gave some examples on how to add things like paragraphs, lists, images, and even 4 columns, and some of the various different features in there, like coloring, adding some margin or spacing between some of those, and just general other information for kind of the beginner's use of the page editor. In this final video, I'm going to take it a step further and show you some information about containers and what containers are, the benefits of them, and how it can create more advanced or nice looking websites. So if you haven't already, you should have received your login information from us to get into the admin page of your site. We are already logged in here, and we're going to get right to it. So in the page editor, this is where we left last time. We created a headline, we have a paragraph section, button, a list, and a column section. So right away, the first thing that we're going to discuss are containers. What are containers? So if you would like to view it this way, this entire page is a container. It's containing this stuff, the different aspects of the page. In the outline here, under grid, we're going to hit the little arrow, and you see that it has containers already. It's essentially a container that has certain formatting or size characteristics. But one thing that we're going to go ahead and do is create a new container. When we do this, it literally does nothing, and I'm going to show you that. So I'm going to hit the plus button here, and I'm going to push the container button. You can also click and drag this over to where you want it to be. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag this to be underneath the headline. Okay? I mean, look, it really didn't do anything. There was a plus button, so we could add like another block, but it didn't add like a paragraph or a headline, anything like that. Again, a container is just a way to group items together. So if I go back to the outline view, you see my container. So I'm going to go ahead and move this. I'm going to click and drag this so it's on the very top. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and update. And then you see this note about creating an inset or an inner container. We'll get into that here shortly as well. But if we go back to the website, hit refresh, you can see nothing happened. You know, adding a container does nothing by itself. Okay? All right, so the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is click to insert an inner container. You can either click on this little plus button here if you have your container selected, or you can go up to the plus button and add another container. So I'm going to hit this plus. Okay? So now you see we've got an arrow, right? Click on this, and now we have a child container under the parent container. Okay? One thing that we're going to definitely need to show you first, one of the things about containers is you can certainly make the difference between full width containers and inside width containers, and that's exactly what I'm going to do with these. I'm going to click on the page over here, and if we look at the main website, you can see there's text, or excuse me, that you can see that there's white space on the left and the right sides. So in here, as we discussed in the first video, I am going to change the sidebar layout to none. With this site, there is a sidebar. It's just a search sidebar, but I don't want that to appear, so I'm going to change that to no sidebars. Then I want to change the content container to full width. Okay? I'm going to hit update. And if we go back to the website now and I hit refresh, you can see it is now full width. The text and the material starts completely on the left side, and it spans the entire width of the website window. The sidebar is gone as well. So this doesn't look terribly great. I mean, it's right on the edge. So we're going to come back in here, and we're going to look at these containers. So we have the outside container. That is set right now, obviously, to full width, since that is what we have the site set to. Okay, so I'm going to click on block. By clicking on block, this gives us all the different options again for the main outside container. We're going to go ahead and move some of this stuff into the inside container. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag this underneath, and you're going to see the little blue indent. Okay, so click, drag. See how the blue indent there? It's indented. Click. So it is now inside this inner container. Okay, if I hit update and I go back to the website builder, refresh, again, nothing happens because we've not made any configuration changes on these containers. So now is the time we're going to do that. I'm going to leave the parent or the main container alone. No changes yet, okay? But I'm going to go to the inside container. And I want to change this back to be contained like it was before. And so it had a bar on the left and the right side. So over here, I'm going to click on sizing under max width. Remember in the prior video we discussed how to set the minimum or the maximum widths of different features. So it has this little globe icon here. When I click this globe icon, it will automatically pre-fill the maximum width with the default width of the website, which is 1000 pixels. Okay, so now we have set a default or a maximum width for this inside container. I'm going to hit update. Going to go back to the website builder. And again, the only thing inside the container right now is this headline, okay? I'm going to hit refresh. Nothing happened. Why? Well, because the container really is 1000 pixels wide, but it's all the way to the left. In the prior video, we also discussed spacing. So to make this container be centered, we need to change the margin. We need to add auto, A-U-T-O, okay? And the right side, same thing, auto, A-U-T-O. I'm going to hit update. Now if we go back and hit reload, looky there. The headline has now moved over. So it is now inside the container, and this container says that the maximum width is 1000 pixels wide, so that means it's going to have some spacing on the left and the right. To help illustrate this further, I'm going to move this paragraph into this inside container, okay? Same thing, so it is now under the inside container. Hit update, go back here, refresh, aha, now you can see the paragraph is now contained in this inside container. So you might be asking yourself, why do I need a parent container, this one here, that's full width, and this one to be contained? Alright, well here's the awesome thing you can do with containers. You see this a lot on websites, like on main websites when you first enter the site, they might have a large graphic on the site with some information contained within it. So now that I have the parent container selected, we're going to first start off by making a background color. So I'm going to choose colors, background, and I want to change this background to be black. Okay? Oh, well now we can't see the headline. So the headline's gone. So I need to come back to headline, and I need to go colors, text, white. Now we can see the headline, all right? Let's see what that does. Hit update. Going to go back to the site, reload. Now you have an entire black full width section with the inside container and the inside blocks. I'm going to get rid of the title. That was something that we covered in the first video. Going to click on page, scroll down. I am going to check this box to disable the content title. Hit update, go back to the page, refresh, and now We're getting closer to what we want to do. We see our navigation. There is no gap now, okay? So we can go back here. And one thing that I notice is all this is like right up against the top. So I'm going to connect, or excuse me, going to click the inside container. Click on block over here again to get to the block settings. And I want to set some padding or some spacing. So I want to add some spacing to be 150 pixels from the top and 150 pixels from the bottom. Got it. Okay. Hit update. We're going to go back here, reload. Now we have 150 pixels above and below the material. Okay. Now I don't want to use just black. How about we choose a neat background image to really make this stand out? So in the block settings again, we're going to go to backgrounds, choose browse. This opens up our media library showing the items we've already uploaded. I'm going to hit upload file, and I'm going to choose this matrix background. Okay, now we've got a nice matrix background. I'm going to select it. Okay, that's looking pretty nifty. I'm going to hit update. Going to go back to the website, refresh, and look at that. Now we're starting to look like a more professional website, aren't we? We've got a nice headline in the top section sitting on a background, and then we have some introductory text here in this box for the paragraph. Another thing that we want to do is we don't want to show this button. We want this to be full height. Like when you come to your website, you want to see this take up the entire area that you first see. To do that, we come back to container. We click on the parent container. Go into the sizing section. Now in the sizing section, we have a height. With the height, you can specifically set it to a height in pixels. But if you use pixels, not everybody's screen is the same height. What I would recommend here is using an advanced feature that's called VH. That's variable height. When you click on variable height, we then use this as a sort of percentage as a variable height to the person's browser that's on your site. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in as 75 VH. So that means 75% of the visible height of the browser will be the size of this section. Okay, I'm going to hit update, go back to the editor, and I'm going to reload, and you can see it made it just a little bit bigger. Even though we said 75% or 75 for the variable height, you have to realize that the top part of your website where your logo or your website name is, that takes up some height. Your navigation takes up some height. So by the time that you add these two together in the 75, we're probably close to 95% of the height now. So I'm going to go back to the editor. I'm going to up this to 80. Okay? It's sometimes a game on just trying to find out what the right height should be. Hit update, go back, reload, and there we go. We are right at the height of the browser. Maybe just a little bit too much. So I'm going to come back here and maybe change this to 78. Update, go back, refresh, and we're very, very close now. I mean, we're almost right on the money. Right as we start to scroll down, we see the white section. Okay? All right, so we've got a nice thing in here. I want to add an image. I know we covered images in the last video, but we didn't really get into some of the spacing or the formatting of the image. So down here, you have a plus sign. This is inside the inside container. Okay? So I'm going to hit the plus sign. Gives me an option for different things. I'm going to hit image. Okay? Now the image appears inside the inside container. Okay? I'm going to hit media library, and I'm going to choose this logo. Hit select, and you can see that it's like the full size, at least, of my web browser here, showing the editor. We have different options in here. So alignment. Do you want to align it to the left? Do you want to align it to the center? Do you want to align it to the right? mean, it's actually not doing anything. You can see it's hard to see. It's not doing anything. We need to come over here and change the size of the graphic. So I'm going to change this to 100 pixels wide. Oof, not very big, right? The other thing I could do is change it to 100 pixels high. 100. Okay. Now, it doesn't look very great. I'm going to center this. Let's go align center. Now it puts it in the middle. So it basically makes a box. It's cutting off some of the logo now. So I would recommend that you use this to only change one or the other. Otherwise, it does skew the proportion. So if I remove the width, it then changes it so it's 100 pixels high. All right? We have center aligned it. If we want to go line left, there's a line left. Do a line right, there's a line right. If we want to align wide width, there's wide width. Okay? If I update that, go back to the site, refresh, you can see that it's the full width. But it is bigger. It's bigger than what this background is. So that is one of the things. I set the background to be, 78 is the variable height, but this graphic is bigger. So this is another effect that I guess accidentally showed you during this video, but you can have a graphic overlay both sections. Okay? Now, obviously, we would need to do some more formatting to move your buttons and your list and that kind of stuff down as well. The other option under here is full width. When we choose that, hit update, and we go back here, it will make it full width. So it doesn't even stay contained within the container. It makes it full width. But I'm going to move this back to doing the align center. Something else I'd like to maybe do is add a little effect on this as well. So under here we have some different options. We have height, we have width, and those different things. So there's expand on click if you want the image to kind of grow in size if you click on it. So there's some other attributes which we really never use. And I am not seeing resolution. Okay, so there's the resolution, there's the expand on click. So basically I just reset those. And those, you can see they're not really doing anything when I click on them. But you can also click and drag the graphic too, so you can see those as well. Okay, so that's some different items for an image. If you notice, there was not a lot of options with this image. If you have a website that was made from BS and Tech, we also have another alternative image type on here that you can use, and it will give you more options. It's part of the generate blocks section or options that you have. I'm going to go ahead and delete this image because this is the default image that comes with WordPress. So if I hit the plus, you see under generate blocks you have these specific options like the grid that we did in the other video as well. This one, if I use this image, we're going to have those more options. See, we have the spacing, the settings, the borders, and so on. And so media library, click on this, select, and there it is. Block settings, I'm going to change this to be 250 pixels wide. I want to center it. And then down here we have some spacing. Do we want to have some padding or spacing above or below the image? Just like we did in this down here. So click on that. If I add padding of 15, it moves it down. If I add padding of 15 underneath, well, nothing happens because we don't have anything underneath it. Borders, there's our borders. Here's the little button to link or unlink. So I'm going to link them. That way all 4 borders can be done at the same time. I'm going to make a 10 pixel hard border of white around the image. Okay? All right. Next thing, this is also neat. Nice little feature here is adding a border radius. You can add like a circular radius on each of the corners of the logo. So I'm going to add a 25 pixel border radius to the top left. Okay, it makes it a nice circular even cut. Over here, you still have these as the hard edges, but we could make the bottom 25. So kind of nice little feature there where you can do that. I'm going to update, go back to the website, refresh, and there's our logo now. So those are some various different features that you can use. That shows you how to do containers and, you know, some options with images, with border radiuses, backgrounds, things like that. One final thing I'm going to cover is the section we did earlier, which has this grid. So down here in the grid, you can see it completely is using the full left to right on here. And so if I were to go back into the outline view, click on the grid, we have some options here for the gap. So we did that in the prior video, where 20, 40, 60, and that adds gap between the columns. Vertical gap would be the gap between rows if you have more than one row. But I don't like that it completely spans from left to right. What do you have to do? You have to make a container. Yes. Click plus, click and drag the container, and sometimes this doesn't want to play nice. See, you can see the blue bar where it's going to drop it, right? So in some cases it just doesn't work very well, but you just get it as close as you can, and then you come back here into your editor and it will select the container. I'm going to click and drag this up here. The blue bar is going full across, meaning it is going to be apparent, and then I'm going to take this grid and click and drag it to be underneath the container. Okay, so now we have a container for the grid to be in. Now that we have the container, we can set the spacing. So I want to set some spacing of 50 pixels on the left and the right. Hit update, come over here, reload. Now we have some spacing. All right, final thing I'm going to cover on this container, just like we did on the one above it. I'm going to put a background color so that it makes it stand out a little more, make it a dark gray. On the padding, I'm also going to add more padding so it's not right up against the container. 50 and 50 for the bottom. Okay, so now we've got some nice spacing. I'm going to also make background colors for each of these columns. I'm going to click on these individual containers so it highlights the column. Same thing. I am going to add 15 pixels of spacing. I'm just going to go ahead and click the link so they're all the same all the way around. It's 15 pixels. I'm going to make this box blue. Okay, all right, so we have a blue color, and I'm going to come over here, hit padding, 15 pixels, and I'm going to make this color, let's do it red. All right, and color and padding. I'm going to link these so I can just type it in once. Makes 15 pixels of spacing all the way around. Hit a background color, and I'll make that one green. Okay, and the last one, we're going to do another linking of the padding, 15 pixels, background, and this one, maybe this color here. Okay, it doesn't look pretty, but this is just to take, you know, examples. All right, saved it, reload, and there we go. So now we have columns with different backgrounds, and it's sitting on top of an overall background color. And again, you could make this color an image if you'd like. So that takes care of some of the advanced features for making a nicer looking website in the page editor. If you do have any questions or you stumble across a problem, you can reach out to me and I will be happy to help. Thank you again for watching. This was Brian with BS and Tech Networks.